Tonight from Medler Field at Lubrano Park on the campus of Penn State University, the Pennsylvania Cable Network presents the PIAA 5A Baseball Championship game. The matchup, the Pioneers of Lampeter Strasburg High School at 24-4 and the Patriots of Redland High School who are 24-3. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Alongside Jamie Wechter, my name is Bob McCool. You might remember about 4 years ago, in fact, in 2015, a team from Redland, Pennsylvania captured Pennsylvania's attention and a lot of other people's attention as they made a run to the U.S. Championship in the Little League World Series. Well, guess what? Those young kids are now playing high school baseball for the Redland Patriots, but don't concede anything because this is a Lampeter Strasburg program that's had a very distinguished history. They're the Lancaster Level League champions, and they're playing for their 5th overall championship appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a program that's been rolling for about 20 years now, and consistently every year in and out, they are a very good program.
And that will be the case for them. They've got their best pitcher on the mound in Braden Carpathius, and their hitters are spread out around the lineup. In fact, one of their top hitters, Patrick Holmes, is down in the 6th and 7th spot more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. And Patrick's a senior third baseman. 423 average, 21 runs scored, and a 492 on-base percentage.
Well, Redland has 8 different players who are getting solid Division I looks, but the kid who got all the looks in a lot of cases in that championship run in the Little League World Series was Cole Wagner, who's only a 10th grader.
Absolutely, and he's still he might be the most popular high school player in the state. Everybody knows him, remembers Cole. Sophomore first baseman, 397, had 10 extra base hits, 583 on-base percentage.
He's already given his verbal commitment to play with his older cousin Luke to play at Georgia. But Cole's a 10th grader and Luke is only a junior. For the Pioneers to get through the playoffs, they actually lost to Redland in a district qualifier. Both teams are out of District 3. LS then went through 2 teams in District 7. Shaler, the District 7 champion, and then Franklin Regional, the District 7 number 3 seed, a 5-1 and a 7-2 victory. And then they took down the District 3 champion in Cedar Cliff by a 3-0 score. For Redland, first up, it was a victory over District 1 champion Holy Ghost Prep, District 12 champion Pittston, and then District 11 champion Blue Mountain. So the Patriots take down 3 straight district champions to get to this championship game for the state final. And we are quickly underway as Lampeter Strasburg and Tom Shockley will lead things off for the Pioneers. We'll take a look at their batting order as we look at the unorthodox approach of Thomas Shockley, a catcher for LS who leads off for the Pioneers. Facing Jaden Headline, who is already ahead, no balls and 2 strikes to Shockley. And this one is hit hard towards short. Kyle Hannon up with it, and Hannon will make the throw in plenty of time for out number 1. You look at the batting order for the rest of the Pioneers. Braden Carpathios is batting 2nd. Dylan Byler is the designated hitter batting 3rd. Hunter Cunningham is batting cleanup. Batting 5th is the right fielder Aaron Snyder. Batting 6th is Derek Ekman. Batting 7th is senior Patrick Holmes. Batting 8th is Tasso Kovac, a junior. And batting 9th is senior center fielder Joe Mack. Again, facing Jaden Henline, who is one of those players getting Division I looks. In fact, he has given a verbal commitment to play for a college known as Penn State. So he is potentially on his future mound right now for the Nittany Lions, but he's just a junior. As he faces Braden Carpathios, his counterpart on the mound. Carpathios is also getting Division I looks. He's just a 10th grader. And we'll obviously talk a lot more about him once he gets on the mound, but right now he's got a bat in his hand, and he's in a 1-ball-and-1-strike count. And big swing and a miss as he can't quite catch up to the fastball clocked at 85 miles an hour from Jaden Headline.
And Headline is 4-1 in the season, 1.835 ERA, 34 1/3 innings, 54 strikeouts, 16 walks. So really good numbers for Jaden.
This one late swing and fouled hard down the 3rd baseline.
And Braden, certainly you talked about him on the mound. That's where he's getting looks. He's currently a verbal commitment to Coastal Carolina, but do not sleep on him offensively. He's leading the team with a 446 average.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, yes, he's very good with a pitcher as the pitcher, but with a bat on his hands, he can be equally as dangerous hitting out of that 2-hole. 1-ball-2-strike to him, and this one is a bit low, and it's now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Nice take right there by Braden.
Curveball and strike 3 as Carpathios cannot twist inside for that inside breaking ball. And the first strikeout victim is out number 2 here in the second inning.
And we've kind of been seeing, this is our 6th game in 2 days, and we've seen a lot of pitchers come out the first inning, top of the first, struggling a little bit. We talked about the excitement, the nerves, the adrenaline. Does not seem to be bothering Headline at all.
Dylan Byler now will bat for Lampeter Strasburg. He is the designated hitter for the Pioneers. As we take a look at the defensive alignment, Adam Kramer is in left field. Luke Wagner is in center. Benny Montgomery is in right for the Patriots as Headline comes with the pitch, and that's over for a called strike. Cole Wagner at first base. Braden Colemansberger is at second. Kyle Hannon is at short. Mason Walker is at third. Jared Payne, another of the Division I prospects, he's a senior headed to Kentucky, is behind the plate. And a 1-2-3 and an impressive one for Jaden Headline as he strikes out Byler to end the first. No runs, no hits, so 1-2-3, top half of the first for the Pioneers, and Redland will bat in the bottom half.
Yeah, Jaden came out firing, commanding all his pitches right from the start, setting them up with the fastballs, and then coming off the off speed, that big 12-6 break on that thing, and LS struggled with that in the first inning.
So let's take a look now at the batting order for the Patriots. Luke Wagner, the junior, will lead off and play in center field. His cousin Cole is batting second. Batting third is the player we mentioned just a second ago, and Jared Payne, the senior headed to Kentucky. Kyle Hannon, who is the junior headed to Penn State, he is at shortstop and batting cleanup. Benny Montgomery bats fifth. Mason Walker bats sixth. Jaden Headline bats seventh. Jake Kunkel bats eighth as the designated hitter, and Adam Kramer is in left field. And they will be facing, as we said, Braden Carpathios, the left-hander, is given a verbal commitment at this point in time to Coastal Carolina. Mix of 4 pitches, fastball, curve, change, and slider. And the Pioneer coaching staff said he's pretty confident in all 4 of them, which is very unusual for a 10th grader.
Sure, absolutely. He has command of everything. One big thing that's kind of the storyline of this game, he was the starting pitcher when they faced each other in that state qualifying game in District 3. He only went 2 innings. It was his worst outing of the year. 2 innings. He gave up 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned runs, and walked 3 guys in those 2 innings.
Patriots won that game 6-0. Again, Lampeter Strasburg lost in the semifinal to Gettysburg. Gettysburg eventually losing in the district championship to Cedar Cliff, who beat Redland in the other semifinal. And so in the 3-4 seeding game, if you will, for the PIAA playoffs, both teams were going to make the playoffs, but it's a matter of where you end up in the brackets. And so it was a seeding game to determine who was third and who was fourth. And Redland won that game over Lampeter Strasburg by a score of 6-0. So Redland as the 3 seed and Lampeter Strasburg as the 4 seed coming out of District 3. Owl Academic at this point in time, because guess what? They both made it through the brackets and they're here for a state final.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It kind of worked out for both of them.
And certainly there were a lot of people who were pointing to the potential matchup of Redland against Cedar Cliff for a number of reasons. Most specifically, Redland was pointing to it because they wanted to get another chance at Cedar Cliff. Why? Because they are both a part of the West Shore School District, and it would have been a matchup potentially for a state championship between 2 teams, or 2 schools essentially, who share the same school district. But LS said, I don't think so. We want to be a part of the party. And Braden Carpathios is showing you why as he strikes out Luke Wagner for the first out here in the top of the first inning.
And all LS did against Cedar Cliff was 1 hit him. Dylan Byler was remarkable that game. 1 hit the Colts in order to get to this game. And District 3 5A has predominantly been a very good statewide division. This is District 3's best division, and this year it shows. You get 2 teams here. You had 3 of the 4 finalists, and that didn't include Gettysburg, who was in the District 3 finals in 5A. So
this is Cole Wagner. Cole hitting at .397 in this his 10th grade year. And again, in that Little League World Series, he was the player who came out of it as the biggest star, as both a pitcher and a hitter. As we see the defensive alignment around the outfield and infield for LS. Nevin Book is in left field. Joe Meck is in center. Aaron Snyder is in right. Hunter Cunningham is the first baseman. Derek Ekman is at second. Tasso Kovac is at shortstop. Patrick Holmes is at third. Thomas Shockley is the catcher. Catching for the left-handed pitching Braden Carpathios, who gets Cole Wagner now in a 2-ball, 2-strike count.
And there, that's Carpathios. That's his big curveball. His slider is a little harder and a little more of a bite. That one's a big sweeping curveball. He's going to sit probably fastball 86, 87. His sliders at about 84, 85, and then the curveball and the changeup are much slower.
Cole Wagner right now in a 3-2 count, and that is just off the plate. And Cole Wagner is our game's first base runner with a 1-out walk.
Good at bat by Cole right there. Really battled through, saw some good pitches, some borderline pitches that he took very confidently to collect a walk.
So that brings up Jared Payne. Again, Payne, the catcher, who has given his commitment to attend Kentucky in the fall. And he is one of only 2 seniors in the starting lineup for Redlands. So that's the other bad news for the rest of District 3 and Pennsylvania for that matter. This Redland team is just growing into the high school level. They will obviously lose Payne, who skies this one in the left field. Nevin Book will wait for it to land and catch it for the for the second out of the first inning.
And you talked about all the D1 players in this game, but when Redland is coming out, and there can be teams with multiple Division I players, but when you have 3 Division I SEC recruits, that's pretty impressive. When the SEC is coming north to your programs to bring kids south, that says a lot about these types of the players and the quality of players there in this game.
And again, 2 of them have given verbal commitments to Penn State, and one of them is at the plate, and Kyle Hannon. Kyle Hannon plays shortstop, bats cleanup for this Redland team, just a junior. And as we said, Jaden Headline, who is the pitcher, has also given his verbal commitment. So these 2 who have grown up together in the Redland system, looking to continue potentially playing right here on their future home field at Lebrano Park. Kyle Hannon with a runner at first base and 2 outs. Now that runner takes off, and Cole Wagner, and they will not be able to throw down as Shockley couldn't get a grip on it, so Cole Wagner ends up stealing second.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had a chance at him anyway. Wagner had a really good jump. May have been going first move, so when Carpathios picked up, he takes off. Shockley really didn't have much of a chance and then just didn't get a good grip on the ball.
So Wagner steals it without even sliding. Hannon hitting on the season at 346. He has a team-leading 27 RBIs, and he is in a prime position to do just that. Runner now at second base, 2 outs, bottom half of the first inning. Pickoff attempt as they try to have Derek Ekman, the second baseman, sneak in, while Tasso Kovac, the shortstop, was kind of dancing around on one side of Cole Wagner, trying to get Ekman to sneak in on the backside and see if he can't pick him off, but Cole Wagner is attuned to that. This one in the dirt. Wagner hesitated for a moment until Shockley found it. Wagner couldn't go any longer, and so it remains now 2 balls and no strikes to Kyle Hannon.
Yeah, Shockley got out in front of that one, but tried to pick it, just couldn't pick it cleanly, and it luckily for him didn't roll too far away. Wagner could not advance the third.
Fouls this one, got that one up on his fists, and Hannon fouls it out of play. So now the count is 2 balls and a strike.
And that is one thing you'll see with Carpathios. Whether it's a lefty or a righty, he has great command of that side of the plate. So for a left-handed batter, he's going to bust you in and come in on your hands. And a righty, he's going to hit the outside corner with fastballs and then that backdoor slider.
2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. As Hannon swings through it, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And to the point we're talking about, it's not unusual for a high school pitcher to have 4 pitches, but for a high school pitcher to have confidence in all 4 pitches is another story, and especially as a 10th grader.
Absolutely, he's been playing a lot of high-level baseball for a long time.
This one dribbled towards the hole at second. Ekman up with it. The wild throw pulls the first baseman off. Cole Wagner all the way around and will continue home, and the Patriots are on the scoreboard first. Heads up base running by the Redland Patriots as Hannon ends up beating it out at first base, and Cole Wagner never took his foot off the gas pedal. Comes all the way around to score the game's first run.
Yeah, with 2 outs, he got a great jump off the second base, and like you said, he never slowed down. There you saw he had a running secondary lead. So as soon as the throw pulls Cunningham off the base, he comes around and he can slide in, and looked like Shockler took a cleat to his upper thigh, but it seems like he was okay.
So it goes as an error on the throw that pulled the first baseman Cunningham off the bag. That puts Hannon at first base, and then Wagner comes around to score. Here's a chopper to third. Patrick Holmes up with it, and the throw to first base is in time. But the error changes the complexion of the first inning as Redland gets a run across. They do so without the benefit of a hit. They leave one as well. We are through one in the 5A championship game. It's Redland 1 and Lampeter Strasburg nothing.
The PCN family. Our roots run deep. What grew out of a plan to distribute educational programming has grown into the nation's leading statewide public affairs network. Since 1979, PCN has been supported by cable operators across the state. It is because of this generous support that PCN uses no state or federal tax dollars, reaching more than 10 million of our neighbors. Thank your cable operator. We do.
How did that become law?
Does the governor get to decide everything?
Why was that person elected?
PCN wanted to help answer these questions by creating Civics 101, a free online educational tool to teach Pennsylvania students how the state government works. Stream video interviews with elected officials, tour the state capitol and governor's residence, and so much more. Go to PCNTV.com to start learning today. PCN Civics 101.
Top half of the second inning alongside Jamie Wechter. My name is Bob McCoy. You're watching the PIAA 5A Baseball Championship. Redland Patriots with a 1 spot in the first. And now it's LS's turn back here in the second. They'll send up 4, 5, and 6. Hunter Cunningham, Aaron Snyder, and Derek Ekman. Talking with Nate Ebert, the head coach for the Redland Patriots, a little bit about Jared Headline, Jaden Headline, their pitcher today. And saying, as I said, the quintessential question, which is Penn State looking at him as a pitcher or a hitter? And he said, well, as probably a pitcher, because he is in the mid to upper 80s already, but that might not be so. He can hit and hit pretty well. So at this point, they're thinking of him as a hitter. But when you start seeing him and what he's throwing and the speed gun registering at 88 and 89 miles per hour, his hitting days could be over.
Yeah, and he can pump it up there. There's no doubt. I saw one of his warm-up pitches. He was breaking 90. So he's probably dialing it back a little bit in the game just to have a little bit more command of that fastball. But it's there. It's inside. And if he needs it, he can reach back and get it.
Fastball, slider, and change is what they said he throws. And this one is ripped down the first base line, but just foul. So Hunter Cunningham has been all over the heat so far from Jaden Headline with 2 hard-hit foul balls, but he's been out in front of.
Yeah, and Hunter Cunningham's kind of a guy who's a little bit overlooked, and he's sitting in the cleanup hole, but you don't hear a lot about him. But boy, he just hits. He is a baseball player. You see it. He turned around 2 fastballs right there.
And they come with a little bit of an off-speed pitch there, and the Redland Patriots fans thought they got him,
as did Cunningham. He took 2 steps. He thought that he was rung up on that pitch. He was completely fooled by the off-speed.
So now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to him. And he's out in front of another off-speed pitch this time. So Headline, looking at the fact that Cunningham hit 2 fastballs hard, goes back now to 2 off-speed pitches. And the count sits at 2 balls and 2 strikes. This one lifted into shallow center field. Hannon, the shortstop, will take charge, and he'll make the catch for out number 1.
And the one thing, talking about the velocity, I don't think the velocity is going to really bother Lampeter Strasburg too much tonight. They have seen quality pitching up and down. The Lancaster-Lebanon League this year was loaded with some really good pitchers, and they have quite a few guys, and last year and this year, they have guys sitting upper 80s, low 90s, 4 or 5 guys up and down the league. So they've seen that type of pitching. They see him in the summer. They see him in the high school season. So pure velocity is not going to bother them. Now, the quality pitches, the command, the movement on it, the breaking ball, that's the stuff that's going to get a good team, a good offense team out.
LS won the Lancaster-Lebanon League Championship. They beat Hempfield in the final 3-0. The last time that Lampeter Strasburg won the Lancaster-Lebanon League Championship was 1994. And that 1994 team went on to win the program's first state championship. They beat West Allegheny in the final 1-0. Here's a hopper towards Hannon at shortstop. Takes a step back, makes a high throw. Cole Wagner makes the tag for out number 2.
Yeah, there you see the type of athlete Cole Wagner is, because he does an unbelievable job. He goes up, he gets this ball, and then the swipe tag as the runner starts to slide. He sees where the ball is going. He starts to slide underneath. So Wagner, a great job. Watch the swipe and gets him right before the ball, or his glove, his feet hit the bag.
So that'll bring up Derek Ekman now with 2 outs here in this second inning. So Cole Wagner has shown some speed with the stolen base, and then the scoring of the run from second base on the ground ball in the infield, and shows some leather as well. And the question for for Cole Wagner is whether he will eventually be a pitcher or a hitter at the next level. But again, he's only in 10th grade. This one is lifted foul and towards the dugout. Wagner will give it a chase, but it's caught, but by a fan instead. The Redland dugout really liked whoever made that catch behind them.
And back to your point about LS and the LL championship games, it has not been for a lack of effort. They have probably been in that championship game more than any other LL League team. They've been a little snake bit. They face some really good teams. Effort has beat them a few times, and Effort has a really good program, a couple District 3 titles. They've lost to Hempfield and to Elizabethtown, so some really good teams, but they've been there a lot and finally broke through this year, beating a good Hempfield team.
They're in a 2-out situation here. Here's a shallow fly ball to right field, and Benny Montgomery will take care of business for out number 3. So 6 batters, 6 outs so far for Jaden Headline on the mound for Redland. We head to the bottom half of the second inning, and the Patriots lead it 1-0.
These days, life is busy, but amazing. From the sci-fi brilliance of technology to the existence of toast, we move at a crazy pace until this happens. Time for MedExpress. Walk right in, get the care you need, and get right back at it. MedExpress, because life is urgent.
It's almost time for PCN Summer Series. We are back and hotter than ever with brand new episodes of your favorite PCN originals. The night starts off with the series premiere of The African American Experience. Then, enjoy new episodes of Its History, PCN Profiles, and Keystone Cuisine. PCN Summer Series, every Sunday beginning July 7th on cable and the PCN Select streaming service. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania history and culture to you.
We're coming to you live from Medler Field at Lubrano Park. This beautiful ballpark was built in 2006. 325 down the left field line, 320 down the right field line, 378 to the power alley and left center, 375 to right center, 399 to straightaway center field. But things get interesting along that left field wall as all of a sudden it kind of jets out a little bit right in front of the flagpoles. There you see 399 to straightaway center field. And when the camera zooms out and scans to left, it dips out at 410 in the little alcove they comfortably call the Nook in left center field. Opposite way for Mason Walker as he leads off the second inning with a line drive base hit into right center field for just the first hit of the game for Redland. Patriots already have a run across. They did so thanks to a walk and an error in the first inning. Mason Walker gets the Patriots' first hit of the night.
Yeah, does a nice job barreling that ball up, driving it to right center field. And now Carpathios got to try to control the running game, keep guys out of scoring position.
As Jaden Headline steps to the plate. And the pitch to him is a ball. Again, the Little League World Series that we talked about, 2015, Redland won the U.S. Championship. They beat Pearland, Texas in that championship game 3-2. You think this team has experienced some things? The attendance for that U.S. Championship game was 45,700 people in Williamsport watching the U.S. Championship. Redland wins the U.S. Championship and then lost to Japan in the World Final. They were the last team from Pennsylvania to win, or the last team from Pennsylvania to win the U.S. Championship was Shippensburg back in 1990. You want to know some irony? The last Redland Patriot team to win a state championship, the only one, was in 1990, when Luke Wagner's dad and Cole Wagner's dad, twin brothers Brett and Kyle, were outstanding players for the Redland Patriots, leading them to a 1990 PIAA championship. They won the championship in 3A over Indian Valley by a score of 9-3. Brett was the pitcher and Kyle was the catcher. They both ended up at Wake Forest.
Yeah, and if you go to Redland High School, they have a nice big baseball with the 1990 state championship overlooking the field. And I saw a news report this week, a story on they talked about they need to add the baseball right next to it. They wanted their second baseball with the Wagner sons, kind of doing exactly what the fathers did.
Cole is the son of Brett. Luke is the son of Kyle. And again, they are identical twin brothers. We've had a lot of that this weekend, including my partner's sons who have been around the ballpark at both softball and baseball. We've had a couple of twin brothers playing in it. Now we're talking about Brett and Kyle. Brett ended up getting drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, but unfortunately for him, some arm injuries ended his career, but they both returned back to the Redland area. They do a lot of coaching and teaching in the Redland area, coach a lot of these kids in and through the Little League. And in fact, the head coach for the Little League team, Tom Pfeiffer, is on Nate Everett's coaching staff. As Jaden Headline as at the plate in a 3-0 count and a strike now. A visit to the mound to kind of settle Carpathios down a little bit. And guess what? After the visit to the mound, strike called. 3-1 pitch. Right back through the box towards short, could be two. Flip to second for one and get the double play. So whatever they talked about on the mound was pretty good remedy. Carpathios throws a strike and then throws a double play ball. It goes Kovac to Ekman to Cunningham for the double play.
Yeah, that's a nice job. A great job of defensive positioning. Kovac was right in the right spot. Now, I will say they got the double play. I would rather see him take that himself. Touch the base, his momentum's going that way. Would be an easy throw, but Ekman made a nice job getting to the base. Ball was on Kovac very quickly, so Ekman had to get there, long run, and then made a quality throw.
So that will bring Jake Kunkel to the plate. Junior designated hitter. Taking one outside from Carpathios, and now it's 1 ball and 1 strike. A curveball and a beauty, and it locked up Kunkel, who takes it for a called strike 2.
And that's what I'm talking about. Everything's right on that side of the plate. So for that lefty, see, it's inside. It looks like it's going to be inside the late tail, late break on it right across the corner.
1 ball, 2 strike pitch to him. Comes back right with it and gets him on a strikeout. So the double play helps Carpathios out of any kind of early inning trouble. And we are through 2. Redland 1, LS nothing.
Packed with 9 essential nutrients, low-fat chocolate milk can be an important part of your recovery routine. Refuel with chocolate milk after your next workout.
PCN brings you the PIAA Championships in a variety of sports. From the field to the pool and the court to the track, PCN brings you the best Scholastic teams competing on the state's biggest stage from all the best angles. With multiple cameras, instant replays, and professional commentary, we take high school sports and elevate them to new heights. Watch on cable and the PCN app. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania sports to you.
PIAA championship games are the exclusive property of the PIAA. Television coverage is licensed to PCN, whose exclusive rights are protected by federal copyright law. Any retransmission of any kind or other use of the television coverage of this game without the expressed written consent of PIAA is prohibited by law. Lampeter Strasburg fans trying to root their team to put something together against Jaden Headline, who has retired them in order through the first 2 innings. 7, 8, and 9 due up for Lampeter Strasburg here in this third. Patrick Holmes, Tasso Kovac, and Joe Mack.
Yeah, some of these fans have already had a long afternoon and not so joyous so far as the LS Pioneer softball team lost in their state championship earlier today.
Boys went over and watched that softball game for a while before they had to come over here, and there is the first hit of the game, and the young man we talked about in the open, Patrick Holmes. He may be batting 7th in the batting order, but he's had an outstanding senior season to this point in time, and he continues it with a base hit right up the middle.
Yeah, he's another one. I talked about Hunter Cunningham being a little underappreciated. I think Holmes is also, you don't hear a lot about him, but he just comes out and he rakes. I mean, his average speaks for himself. He gets on base, he has some power, and plays a really good third base.
How about a .423 batting average to go along with everything else he does, and they concerned about him as a base runner as well as Headline. Now with a windup from the rubber for the first time, or coming from the stretch, I should say, for the first time, facing Tasso Kovac with a runner at first base. He shows bunt, gets the bunt down, and it's a beauty. Headline has to hustle to make the play. He'll make it in plenty of time. It moves Holmes up to second base. Headline actually kind of took a step backwards initially on the bunt, so he was a little bit slow to get there, but obviously made the recovery in time.
Yeah, I think he just a little off balance as he, on his follow through, he kind of falls off to the side. And I think he stumbled a little bit, so had to regain himself with that little step backwards, but he had time to come up and make the play, but a really good bunt by Kovac.
So LS playing some fundamentals here. They move the runner up with 1 out. Tying run now in scoring position for Joe Mack, the 9-hole hitter. Keith Martin is in his 7th season as the head coach at Lampeter Strasburg. He's won 111 games in 7 seasons with just 53 losses. Mack showing as if he's going to bunt, then pulls the bat back.
Yeah, I think he was looking there for a slash bunt right there, where you show really early, get the kind of look to draw the corner infielders in, and then you pull back and you just give that little slap at the ball, look to drive it right past them. Good
high school teams get good production at the bottom of their order. Mack, the 9-hole hitter, hitting at .342. And he bounces up there. Great play by Jared Payne.
Yeah, there's another reason why. Another kid going Division I. You see it right there. Runner in scoring position. You still need to be able to throw all of your pitches, so you got to have a lot of confidence in your catcher. He got down really well, smothered that pitch, kind of dropped right in front of him.
Runner at second in Patrick Holmes. He singled. Sacrificed to second base with 1 out now to Joe Mack, who takes one low and away, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Top of the order, and Thomas Shockey on deck for LS. And another one in the dirt. 3 straight now in the dirt. And each and every one of them blocked nicely by Jared Payne, who kind of takes a walk out to Jaden Headline and said, hey, you know, I don't mind you doing it on occasion, but 3 in a row, you're starting to get on my nerves a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I get beat up enough. We've played how many games this year?
That's right.
But that's a great job by Joe Mack, being patient, not chasing pitches out of the zone. Work the count. Now you're up 3-1, and you got to hit one spot to be able to swing and really drive the ball.
3-1 is the count, 1 down. Misses with a pitch, walks it. First walk surrendered by Headline. 2 runners on, 1 out, and the top of the order, and Thomas Shockey to the plate.
And this is another theme that we've seen over the last 2 days, where pitchers they're cruising along, and as soon as they get that first base runner and they start throwing out of the stretch, they do not have the command that they had out of the windup. Pitchers are they're creatures of habit, where they're coming out and they're not throwing out of the stretch as much as the windup. So all of a sudden they need it, and now it's going to take a little bit to kind of hone in those pitches and get your command down.
First and second, one down for Shockey, who grounded out to short his first time up. Lifts this one into center field, and he's going to drive Luke Wagner back, and he's back, and he's back, and he makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Runners are going to move up and going to keep on running, going to try to take two on a sacrifice fly, and will get there. Payne's throw to second goes into center field, and now that runner will move up and move to third base. So a fly ball to center field, and Patrick Holmes took third on the sacrifice fly and kept on going as Shockey took Luke Wagner all the way out to the warning track in center field, and it becomes your proverbial two-base sacrifice fly. We're tied at one, and the trail runner, Joe Mack, was not a spectator. He decided to take part two.
Yeah, we have seen some things this week, but boy, that is unbelievable base running. And what a great play by, that's the first part of it, a great play by Wagner in center field. But you see Holmes never slows down, not even close. And it was a good relay, but he was moving right, got a good jump off second base, scores. And then you see Meck, who had to retreat, he was halfway, went to second on once the throw came home, and then the airmail throw from the catcher, he moves it up to third base.
And so that'll be an error on the catcher that allows Joe Meck to move up to third base, where he is now the go-ahead run with 2 outs for Braden Carpathios. So Carpathios a chance to give himself the lead here as the pitcher again becomes the hitter. And we're not just talking about a hitter, we're talking about the leading hitter average-wise in the lineup for Lampeter Strasburg at .446 coming in. He was a strikeout victim his first time up, but he has a chance now to put LS on top for the first time. They've tied it at 1, and a runner at third base and 2 outs.
I think it's back to the Holmes play. A real nice play by third base coach Scott Ekman. Saw that how deep it was that Wagner made the over-the-shoulder catch, and he was telling him right away, hey, keep rolling, keep rolling. Brought him all the way through to score the run.
This one lifted out of play. And to Holmes' credit, he didn't and wasn't comfortable just tagging up and moving up a back. He was hearing and listening to his third base coach, thinking to bust it to third to potentially have the chance to come around to score. If he's just jogging to third base, that's possibilities out of the equation. This one hit hard down the third base line, but foul. So Carpathios will have to go back to the plate, standing in a 2-2 count.
And Scott Ekman's he's a veteran coach, been around the Lancaster Lebanon League for a long time. A former head coach at Lancaster McCaskey High School, been with this LS program for a lot of years. So does a great job out of third base and certainly had him moving. And then even on the overthrow, it was backed up well by Wagner, but he got Meck all the way to third.
He's at third. Larry Hinnenkamp is at first, all a part of Keith Martin's staff here for Lampeter Strasburg. And there is the runner at third, and Joe Mack, as this pitch is in the dirt. And another nice job by Payne to keep it in front of him. And now it's 3 balls and 2 strikes to the hitter, Braden Carpathios. This one is lifted into left field, and Adam Kramer has this one in his sights, will make the catch, and that will do it for the Pioneers in the third. But not before they tie the game. They do it on a hit, and they leave one as well. There was an error in the inning for Redland as we head to the bottom half of the third inning. It is Lampeter Strasburg 1, Redland 1.
One of PCN's longest-running original programs is PA Books, a one-on-one conversation with authors about Pennsylvania's past, its people, and its contributions. During the Candid Chat, You'll get a preview of their book and discover their reasons to bring the story to life. Watch PA Books weekdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 7 p.m. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania history and culture to you.
So we're even now at 1. One's a plenty on the scoreboard. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error for LS. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error for RL, as in Redland. And here we go into the bottom half of the third inning. And it will be Adam Kramer, Luke Wagner, and Cole Wagner due up for the Patriots here in the third inning. Facing Braden Carpathios, who has a new life now with the game tied at 1 apiece. And he falls behind Adam Kramer, 2 balls and no strikes. And make it 3-0.
Yeah, and this is a big inning for Carpathios. You got back in the game, tied the game up. Now you do not want to have a leadoff walk.
Adam Kramer, by the way, the 4th left-handed hitter in the lineup, facing the left-handed pitching Carpathios, and he does indeed walk him. The second walk surrendered by Carpathios, and that will bring the top of the order and Luke Wagner to the plate. Luke Wagner, leading hitter in terms of average for Redland at .410. But he is, like his cousin in the on-deck circle, Cole, headed to Georgia. Luke is a junior, Cole is a sophomore. But Luke Wagner is being looked at because of what he does with the arm more so than the bat, which goes back to that play in center field that Holmes tags up and scores on. The guy he tug up and scored on, who made the great catch out in center field, has a pretty good arm in Luke Wagner.
Yeah, he's a future SEC pitcher, so yeah, that's a pretty good arm.
And that one's on the outside corner for a called strike. So Carpathios right now in a 1-ball, 1-strike count as he faces the top of the order and Luke Wagner, who was a strikeout victim in his first at bat.
That outside corner, we talked about that. That's where Carpathios wants to live. Hit that outside corner. He'll mix things in and out, but that's really his out pitch.
Takes a long look over. Kramer and Wagner gets the bunt down, and it will trickle foul. Hunter Cunningham was there in prime position to pick that up and then just tag Luke Wagner, but it trickled foul before all that could take place. So now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to Wagner as he steps back in.
Yeah, good idea right there, trying to push that right down the first baseline. If you get that into the grass, left-handed pitcher, it's going to be tough to get it. Hunter Cunningham coming from first base, it's going to be a difficult play if it's in the grass because you can get by him before he gets to it.
Swing and a miss, and Luke Wagner, a strikeout victim for the 2nd time in the game. That's the first out here in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, that's a big strikeout for Carpathios. Ball diving out of the zone. Starts on the outside corner, dives out of the zone, and Luke Wagner just can't lay off it.
So that'll bring Cole Wagner to the plate. And Wagner scored the run for Redland in the first inning. Walked and came around to score. Showed great base running to come around and score. Stole second base and then came around to score on a ground ball that was mishandled by the second baseman, Derek Ackman. Came all the way around from second base to score on that ball that never left the infield. So Cole Wagner bats with a man on first and 1 out. This one he lifts into center field. Joe Meck, the center fielder, will drift over into left center field. And fighting the wind, they kept bringing it back towards the flagpole. Eventually makes the catch for outs number 2.
So Redland scored their run with the runner on second base on a ball that didn't leave the infield.
That's right.
And Lampeter Strasburg scores theirs.
How about that?
Tagging up from second base on a ball, warning track, and about 390 feet from home plate.
Taking the extra base has been absolutely the key component of this one as Jared Payne steps into the plate. Payne with a fly ball to left field, his first at bat. Runner now at first base and 2 outs. As Redland trying to take advantage of a leadoff walk to their 9-hole hitter, Adam Kramer. He's the runner at first.
Carpathios has to really stay focused right now. You get through the 2 Wagners after the leadoff walk, but it doesn't get any easier. Got Jared Payne up to the plate. You really got to buckle down, focus, and continue to throw your pitches.
Now time is called. Payne tires of waiting. Yeah, Payne's going to Kentucky. He's the 3-hole hitter. The cleanup hitter is Kyle Hannon. He's coming here to Penn State in a couple years. By the way, the 5-hole hitter is sophomore Benny Montgomery. Last week he just said yes, he's going to probably go to Virginia. He's just a 10th grader. He committed to Virginia. There's the top 6 in the order.
Yeah, that is certainly not too bad.
By the way, the 7th-hole hitter, Mason Walker, he's going to Pitt. I'll stop now. But the 8-hole hitter, the next guy is Jaden Headline. He's coming to Penn State. So there's your 8 Division I baseball players for Redland. Now they got a guy picked. They got him picked off, and the throw down to second base gets away from the second baseman, Ekman, covering. We have seen that a lot today. Runners picked off first base, but the throw from the first baseman to the bag at second. Now that was a pretty good throw, but it got tangled up with the runner, and that runner, Adam Kramer, is now safe at second.
And you talked about this earlier. Not sure if it was on air or off air, but think back to all the problems Ryan Howard had.
Yeah, that's what I think of every time it was.
It's not just high school baseball. That's a tough play. The runner's bearing down on second base, and that ball's coming from a weird angle for the second baseman.
And Carpathios ends up striking out Jared Payne to end the inning. So Carpathios back in command on the mound as he strikes out Payne to end the 3rd inning. On the off-speed pitch, Jared Payne is brought to his knees, and we are through 3. LS 1, Redland 1. We head to the 4th inning. 3 innings in the books, and we are even at 1. Redland with a run in the 1st. LS, as you see, with a run in the 3rd, and that's where we stand. 6 games on the docket for us here with the Pennsylvania Cable Network. That's from the baseball side of things. 6 more going on the softball side of things. And our friends at Service Electric Cable in the Lehigh Valley taking care of the television production from all of those games, and we appreciate them for doing so. And if you want to see more of the action, you can do so. You can do so with replays of the games. We'll have baseball replays for you tomorrow. We'll have softball replays for you yet tonight if you're watching this game live on the network, and again on Sunday. So check out PCNTV.com for a full schedule of all the replay times. If you want to see a particular game or if you want to watch them all, you can do so. A little binge watching of baseball and softball over the weekend if you so choose. We've had some really good games throughout this, now into our 6th game. Pretty close games throughout all 6 games. As the first pitch swinging is Dylan Byler, lifts this one to right field, and no problem for Benny Montgomery, who makes the catch for out number 1. Byler is retired for the 2nd time.
Yeah, Byler came up there hacking first pitch. I don't know if he was sitting fastball, but got something off speed. A little off balance out on the front foot and drove it to right field, right to Montgomery.
And again, this game was originally scheduled as the nightcap last night, but because of the rain yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon, they made the call to push this one to tonight's game. The games today were scheduled with a start time of 10:30, and so there was a window to play this game for tonight, so the PIAA made the decision relatively early on yesterday, somewhere around noon. They made the decision to call both Redland and Lampeter Strasburg and said, don't even bother making the trip. You can come back up tomorrow instead. And so the game was moved to tonight instead. Hard hit a ball off the bat of Hunter Cunningham, as he did in his first at bat. Hunter Cunningham ripped a couple of hard foul balls down the first baseline and does so again here in his 2nd at bat.
Yeah, he's jumping on those fastballs. he's gearing up for them, maybe cheating a little bit, which could leave him a little susceptible to anything off speed.
He's sitting in a 1-1 count right now with 1 out. And the off-speed pitch again, and he's out in front of it. Good decision by Redland to go off-speed to Cunningham, who could not hold back on it. Now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think they certainly saw the same thing I did.
This one is fisted foul and out of play. Just to recap some of the games that you may have missed or you may have watched. The Single A championship went to West Middlesex with a 2-1 win over Greenwood. And then yesterday's game in the 3A was Mount Union out of District 6 with a win over Notre Dame Green Pond 9-1. We start our coverage today with a win for Souderton in the 6A championship game as Cunningham is a strikeout victim. Souderton beats Central Bucks South 6-3. The 4A championship went to Selinsgrove. They beat Beaver Area by a score of 7-4. And then the 2A championship game, Devon Prep beat Sarah Catholic by a score of 3-2. Hunter Cunningham is a strikeout victim. That will bring up Aaron Snyder with 2 outs here in the 4th inning.
Yeah, and not that anybody really wouldn't have 4 games in one day. It was nice having 3 and 3, but this really is, in my mind, this is kind of the showcase game of the weekend. These 2 teams are really playing well right now. They're very evenly matched. Probably the most Division I prospects we see on either team, really. And then we're seeing 2 pitchers. This is the best velocity we've seen all weekend.
Without a doubt. A lot of the pitchers were topping out in the low 80s through most of it, but both Carpathios and Headline are Division I targets for a reason. They are consistently in the 87, 88, and occasions a little higher than that on the fastball. But what makes them good is not just that they're throwing upper 80s, it's the mix of pitches that they can throw and throw the off-speed pitches for strikes as well.
Yeah, it's commanding all those pitches and hitting their spots, setting pitchers up. You saw what Headline did with Cunningham, set him up, gave him those fastballs, and then got him chasing on a couple off-speed.
Here's a ground ball to short, Hannon up with it, low throw, dug out nicely by Cole Wagner, and 1, 2, 3 go the Pioneers in the 4th. We head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. We're still tied at 1.
Did you know you can watch all of your favorite PCN originals and more at home or on the go? Download the PCN app on your favorite device and tune in to see what makes Pennsylvania's heart beat. Watch videos on demand, see multiple live streams, and check out the free selected programs and events. PCN, Pennsylvania Politics and Policy, History and Culture, Sports, and more.
Take a nostalgic look back at some of the best games PCN has televised over the past 20 years with PCN Sports Classics. Watch the entire game without interruption and get updates on key players and coaches who have made Pennsylvania sports history. Watch new episodes monthly and stream the full series on demand with the PCN Select streaming service. Visit PCNTV.com to subscribe. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania sports to you.
Bottom half of the 4th inning is where we tie. Again, one's still aplenty on the scoreboard as we head now to the 4th inning. 4, 5, and 6 are due up for the Patriots. That's Kyle Hannon, Benny Montgomery, and Mason Walker. Hannon safe on an error his first time up, on the error that actually pulled the first baseman Hunter Cunningham off the bag. That's what allowed Cole Wagner to come all the way around from second base on the ground ball. He moved up to third on the ground ball and took advantage of the wide throw and came around to score on that throw as it pulled the first baseman off the bag. Cunningham was able to make the catch, but was not able to turn and throw out Cole Wagner at the plate. That was the run that got the Patriots on the board first in the bottom half of the 1st inning. 1-0 pitch to Hannon. Over in the inside corner, called strike 2. Very unusual also to see 4 left-handed hitters in a high school batting order, but that's what you're seeing from the Patriots.
Yeah, and that's what makes it a little surprising, what they did to Carpathios in the district game.
Pitch up high, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Could have been, certainly we weren't there to see it, whether Carpathios, again, you got to remember, he's a 10th grader.
Sure.
And so he might have been a little bit jacked up. Look, the reputation is starting to work its way around from these Redland kids. Again, they won the Little League World Series and it's got a lot of attention paid to it. And all of a sudden people are going like, hey, wait a minute, is that the Redland? Remember wasn't Redland real good at Little League? Well, yeah, they're growing up.
Yeah,
and now they're at the high school level.
Stronger.
Yep. 2 balls and 2 strikes right now. And Hannon rips this one hard off of Cunningham. And they got a play at first base, and he dies, but they're going to call him safe. They say that the first baseman, Cunningham, was off the bag. It bounced off the chest of Cunningham to the second baseman, Derek Ekman, who made a great hustle play, and he flipped it back to Cunningham. The first base umpire said that Cunningham was off the bag.
Yeah, we'll see here. We should have a good look. That's an outstanding play by Ekman. Yep, he was.
That's right. He couldn't find the bag. That's what happened.
Yeah.
He had the ball, but he just couldn't find first base. And Hannon diving into first base. Choose what you like to say about that. Not a lot of people not very happy about that, but Hannon is safe at first.
Yeah, if you're ever going to do it, that's the perfect spot.
Yeah, when the guy's trying to find the bag.
Sure, and you got a bunch of bodies coming. I do think it's faster just running through the base, but that's the time to do it as he's coming towards the base. Second baseman's trying to hit a moving target. He can't find a base, so yeah, get in.
So it goes as a hit for Hannon. His first hit, second time he's been on base, second hit of the game for the Patriots as Benny Montgomery is at the plate. Montgomery hit .360 in his sophomore year as they make the pickoff attempt at Hannon. Again, Benny Montgomery just a week ago gave a verbal commitment. Again, these are just sophomores and juniors, so that could always change, but he gave a verbal commitment to Virginia a week ago. Another pickoff attempt with Hannon. Not much of a lead for Kyle Hannon at first base.
And we talked about the SEC commitments. What about Carpathio's committed to Coastal? Montgomery to Virginia. Those are 2 teams within the last 6 years that have won national titles. And they're not in the AC or in the SEC, but they both have national titles within the last 5-6 years.
Right now it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Montgomery. This one is outside, and it's now 2 balls and a strike. Redland plays in the Mid-Penn Conference. They are a part of the Commonwealth. And again, in the same backyard with their backyard partner in the West Shore School District was Cedar Cliff, who they lost to in the district semifinals.
And the Mid-Penn was also, we talked about the LL League being loaded. Mid-Penn was absolutely loaded this year, which they are most years. But so Redland has seen the exact same, probably better competition that Lampeter Strasburg has.
2-2 count. Pitch to the plate is way outside. Nice play by Shockey to get up there and make sure he hangs on to that with a runner at first base, where the count is now full to Benny Montgomery.
One of those teams in the Mid-Penn this year was East Pennsboro in 4A, who kind of a surprise that didn't get here. They lost in the semifinals. They also had 3 or 4 Division I kids, a couple underclassmen, and then a senior pitcher going to St. Joe's. So lots of talent in the Harrisburg area.
There's a strikeout victim. Benny Montgomery cannot catch up to the off-speed pitch from Carpathios. That looked like it was probably the slider from Carpathios that Montgomery swings through. That's the 5th strikeout for Braden Carpathios. It's also the first out here in the 4th. That'll bring up Mason Walker. Walker, a senior, headed to Pitt. Only one of 2 seniors in the lineup, along with Jared Payne. Walker at .329 on the season, drove in 19 runs, and takes this for a called strike. You start to look at the RBI column for Redland, and it kind of seems a bit pedestrian, but that's because this one's got 24, that one's got 25, this one's got 22, that one's got 19. It's pretty well spread around the lineup.
There's only so many runners out on base to be knocked in.
1 on, 1 out right now for the Patriots, and they got another runner picked off, and here we go again. The throw down to second this time is in time to get Kyle Hannon, who's picked off first base. So again, the good pickoff move by the lefty Carpathios, and this time Cunningham made the throw in time for the out.
And this time, because of a left-handed batter up, you see Kovac covering the base rather than Ekman, which was the last time because he had the base on the steal. that's a really difficult play for a second baseman coming down. You're making a moving target. Much easier to throw the ball to the shortstop coming straight to the bag.
So now there are 2 outs here in the 4th inning for Walker, who's in a no ball, 1 strike count, and he fouls this one towards his own dugout.
And back to my comment with East Pennsboro. They have a senior pitcher, oh boy, I can't.
Harrisman?
No, going to St. Joe's.
Right.
Can't think of his name right now. But they also have a sophomore who's committed to Vanderbilt. Pretty much the top program in college baseball right now. Nick Embleton.
That's
yeah, I should certainly know that. I played college baseball with his uncle. So he's watching us right now in
and you're probably
San Diego.
You're probably get a message from him before the game's over.
Absolutely. It was one of those brain cramps. Sorry, Mike, it's been 6
Yes,
games
right.
in 2 days.
A lot of names have drifted through the head over the course of 6 days.
Absolutely, but I'm sure he's watching this game. He was excited to see it. I talked to him the other week. He's out in San Diego watching this.
No balls, 2 strikes. Now make it 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mason Walker. There is Braden Carpathios, the 10th grader, on the mound for the LS Pioneers. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs to Mason Walker. Doesn't bother to chase to even the count at 2. 55 pitches now thrown from Carpathios with 2 outs here in the 4th. For what it's worth, 33 strikes, 22 balls. He does have 5 strikeouts. Make it 6 as he retires Walker, looking to end the 4th. Turns into no runs for Redland. They had a hit, but he was caught stealing, and so caught looking is Mason Walker to finish the 4th. We head to the 5th, tied at 1.
PCN brings the distinct aspects of Pennsylvania and its residents to your favorite screen.
Hear from state government and community leaders during unedited, balanced coverage of politics and policy.
Dig into the rich history and culture of the state, presented by notable residents and historians.
Score a view of the best high school, college, and world-class athletes competing across the state, and much, much more.
Start exploring the Keystone State today on PCN and the PCN app.
You've heard the name. You've seen the face. Now he's part of the PCN family. Meet Bob McCool, Sports Director and Director of Sales. Spread your message through PCN with a sports sponsorship today. Your advertisement will be seen by millions during PIAA championship games. For information how, contact Bob at info@pcntv.com. PCN, proud to bring Pennsylvania sports to you.
PCN remembers the Battle of Gettysburg with 3 days of special programming. Watch new battle walks every night beginning at 7 p.m. July 1st through the 3rd on cable and the PCN Select streaming service. Hope you've enjoyed high school baseball over the course of the last couple of days. We have had some conversations trying to see if we can put it together. It's not official yet, but we'd like to think that maybe we can at the end of July. Bringing the American Legion Baseball World Series will be played in Du Bois. And why is that significant? Well, it is the American Legion State Championship. It also happens to be the 100th anniversary of American Legion Baseball in the state of Pennsylvania. It'll be held in Du Bois at Showers Field, a beautiful complex. They actually used Showers Field for some of the state playoff games for the PIAA. And if everything comes together, we'll be there on July 31st to bring you the championship games. It's a Wednesday night here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Derek Ekman leading things off, facing Jaden Headline for the Redland Patriots. It'll be Ekman, Holmes, and Kovac to bat for LS here in the top half of the 5th inning. This pitch is over for a called strike 1.
And Bob, as much as I enjoy all your calls on the state championship games on PCN, all the different sports, I got to say my favorite program is the Battlefield Tours. I'm a son of a Civil War buff. My father was a huge buff of the Civil War. I grew up camping in Gettysburg all the time. It's one of my favorite towns in Pennsylvania, so I love watching the tours.
You are not alone. There are a lot of people who love the Gettysburg Battle Walk. They have, I don't even want to say it's a cult because it's much bigger than that. To say it's a cult would be an insult to the vast majority, vast number of people who are absolutely enthralled by Gettysburg and the Battle Walks. Strikeout victim number 4 is Derek Ekman as Jaden Headline strikes out Ekman to start the 5th. Patrick Holmes, who singled and scored the run for LS. He did a lot of that with his legs. Got the base hit, got the second base on the sacrifice, and then came around to score on a sacrifice fly. Why is that significant? Because he was on second base on that sacrifice fly off the bat of Thomas Shockey. This one is lifted into shallow right field, going to be a long run, and eventually Benny Montgomery, the right fielder, will call everybody off and make the catch for out number 2.
So you think that's a pretty simple routine catch right there. I guarantee you right now is one of the most difficult times to see a ball in the outfield. It's dusk right now. It's not completely dark. The sun's not out. And when that ball gets above the lights, which that one probably was, it almost disappears. It's really difficult to see. So he did a great job, Montgomery, to stay with that ball, come in and make the catch. This will bring up Tasso Kovac. He had the sacrifice that moved Holmes into scoring position, his first plate appearance. He bats now with 2 outs here in the 5th. 1-0 pitch to him. Bounces up there. Jaden Headline is taking some shots behind the plate tonight, and a lot of pitches that have bounced up there from Jaden Headline. And in Meck's 2 plate appearances, that's like probably the 3rd or 4th time where he has check swung and been able to hold off on those balls in the dirt, and those are the ones that have been kind of eating pain up. This one is fouled straight behind. And Jared Payne will live up to his name tonight. He will feel a lot of those balls in the dirt more so tonight and tomorrow morning than he does right now. Once the adrenaline of the game goes away, the pain starts to settle in. He has taken his fair share of lumps on some balls in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike, and a swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Although I will say, if he has a medal around his neck, he won't feel anything tomorrow. If he doesn't have that medal, he's going to feel every one of those. He'll have a medal. It's a matter of what color it'll be. Correct. I guess you're right. Okay, if he has the one he wants around his neck. This one is outside, and Kovac does not chase it, and the count is now full. Payne was set up out there, and I think the fans saw where Payne was, and the ball was right in his mitt, so they thought it was a strike, but he was set up outside and off the corner. And count then he tried to pull it. There's one fouled away, and Kovac stays alive. The old framing of the pitch oftentimes fools a lot of people more so than it does umpires. Yeah, it rarely fools the umpire. Occasionally you do see it, but and if you're going to do it, you're pulling that back in half inch, an inch at the most. So it's 3-2 now, 2 outs to Tasso Kovac. He does not chase another, and he walks. Second walk surrendered by Henline. 2-out base runner is Kovac. For the bottom of the order, and Joe Meck, who walked. He was the other batter who was walked by Henline back in the 3rd inning. And what's really nice about Kovac, that walk right there, now you're going to turn the lineup over. So Meck's coming up, and nothing against Meck. He walked himself, and he's a very good hitter out of the 9-hole. But guys are at the top of the lineup for a reason. So now you're going to, at the very least, you're going to start with Shockley, your leadoff hitter, next inning. That's correct. As Meck swings through a pitch. As we said before, Meck does have a .343 batting average out of that 9 spot. There's a man on first base and 2 outs. This one sliced towards the right field line, and it's in for a base hit. Hesitation for Kovac as he rounded second. It was his footwork and the timing of the bag, and he kind of stutter-stepped his way around. And the moment of indecision, he ends up throwing on the brakes and stays at second with 2 outs. And you know what? Good for Joe Meck. And I should know better. I hit at the bottom of the lineups many times. So certainly don't want to be underestimated when you're hitting down there. And he does a great job. He gets this elevated fastball right down the middle, and he just drives it the other way. Nice job of hitting right there. So that'll bring up Thomas Shockey, the leadoff hitter. And Thomas Shockey is a bit of a character. You watched him in the warm-ups, and he was the first one there, obviously, as they introduced the players in batting order, and he's greeting everybody with some kind of a handshake, and then he steps to the plate and watch what he does. Yeah, this is all a trigger mechanism for him. He doesn't stay down here. He uses that, but he does get very low, and he does a great job, and you saw the power he has when he drove that ball about 390 feet. When he's that low, he stays down there and he really drives with his legs and gets a ton of power from his lower half.
And he's the one that drove the ball to the warning track in center field that scored the run. So his sacrifice fly and the drive to center field is the one that allowed Patrick Holmes to tag up 2 bases and score. So he has the RBI for the Pioneers. Now he's looking for an RBI that would give them their first lead. 2 on, 2 out.
So yeah, it certainly looks a little unorthodox, but if it's going to get him to use his lower half, it's certainly worth it. And so many kids, you hear that all the time, use your lower half, drive with your legs, they're the big strong muscles. And it does that, and I know at one point in my career I used to get really low like that and really drive with my legs, and I probably at that point had the most power I had really in my whole career.
When I was an altar boy, they called that genuflecting. Just saying.
Yeah, he is down. Look at him.
2 balls and no strikes. Curveball up high, and now it's 3-0. So right now, Jared Headline has to buckle down a little bit. He's in a 3-0 count with 2 on and 2 out as LS is looking to take the lead. Braden Carpathios is in the on-deck circle. And Headline comes back to get a called strike 1. Took something off it, threw that one at a mere 83 miles an hour. And now it's 3-1.
Yeah, I think Shockley, he was certainly taking all the way there. 3-0 with 2 outs. You don't want to get up there too over aggressive and swing at a bad pitch and get yourself out of the inning.
So now it's 3-1. That's up high, ball 4. So Shockey is a base runner for the first time, but more importantly for LS, they've got him loaded. Second walk in the inning from Headline, 3rd in the game. Kovac goes to 3rd, Meck to 2nd. Shockey is at 1st. They'll use the courtesy runner for him, the catcher. That'll be Alex Knapp, who will run for Shockey. As Braden Carpathios with a chance and a big one for himself and his team, as he is in a position to break this thing open in LS's favor.
Yeah, we talked earlier, not just a pitcher, not just a really good hitter, average-wise the best hitter on the LS team this year.
At 446, and 19 RBIs to go along with it. And that leads that second best on the team, behind Tasso Kovac, who is the runner at second base, who has 21.
He just has to stay patient, do not get over-aggressive.
And this is going to bring a visit to the mound from Nate Ebert. The 11th year head coach for the Redland Patriots is going to take a stroll to talk to Jaden Headline, as he's a little bit concerned about the location of the pitches from Headline, where nowhere to put the batter. He's walked 2 already in the inning, and the single by Meck in between those 2 walks has the bases loaded and 2 outs, and the first pitch to Carpathios was a ball as well, and that got Nate Weber out of the dugout.
And as we talked to Coach Ebert in pregame, he talked about he knows the quality of team this Lampeter Strasburg is. You look at it, they got 4 losses in the season. They lost to Cedar Crest, who's a pretty good team from Lancaster, led in the league. Then Solanco in there. Then they lost to Gettysburg and Redland. And they come back and they beat Cedar Cliff last week. So 2 of their 4 losses were to teams that were state qualifiers, 1 being a state finalist.
And so right now they've got the bases loaded, 2 outs, and a 1-1 tie in the top half of the 5th inning. Big swing by Carpathios, and again, the visit to the mound draws a strike for the pitcher.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it has to be 95% of the time. And you have so many high school coaches who just don't want to go out there and talk to your pitcher and settle him down.
So now it's 1-1. Headline comes with a pitch, and it's a little bit low and inside. It's 2-1. Nate Everett is in his 11th season at Redland High School. 171 wins and 85 losses. As his starting pitcher, junior Jared Headline, is now 2 balls and a strike on Braden Carpathios. Big swing, can't catch up to it again. 87 on that fastball up high. Lefties generally like it low as hitters. And so what do? If they like it low, you go high, and that's what Headline does, and Carpathios can't catch up to it.
Yeah, I'd go right back to it and elevate it, climb the ladder a little bit higher right here.
Bases loaded, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Fouled away. That pitch from Headline hits 89 on the clock down the right field line here at Lubrano Park.
Yeah, Carpathia's got a good piece of that, though. He looked to drive it. He uses all fields. You see the left fielder, he is certainly playing on the line right now. There's a huge gap in left center field. If he can pull it a little more than he did that one and drive it in there, he's clearing the bases.
0 for 2 so far in the night. Thinking not about that, but what he can do on 2-2. And he slaps it towards the left side. It's through for a base hit. Kovac scores. Meck will score. Everybody moves up 2 bases, and the batter, Braden Carpathios, with a 2-run single, gives LS their first lead. It's 3-1 Pioneers.
And he didn't drive it in the air, but he did drive it into that gap. So the left fielder, Kramer, has a long way to run. So scoring easily from second base, driving in 2 runs, huge right now.
RBI number 20 and 21 for Carpathios as he hits it right past the shortstop, who was cheating him towards the shortstop's right. That's Kyle Hannon, who could not get back to get the ball to his left. And Carpathios beats him to the opposite side for the base hit. And everybody moved up 2 bags. Kovac scored. Meck scored as well. Thomas Shockey, the runner for him, Alex Knapp, went all the way around, and he got the third. As Carpathios with the 2-run single makes it 3-1 LS. And the Pioneers now have first and third and 2 outs, and Dylan Byler at the plate.
So the key portion of that inning right there, Tezo Kovac drawing a walk out of the 8-hole with 2 outs. Joe Meck singles with 2 outs. And then you get to the top of the lineup and they do their job.
Said it before, I'll say it again. Good high school baseball teams get great production out of the bottom of their order. And LS has some great hitters at the bottom of the order with Holmes, Kovac, and Meck. No balls and a strike. To the plate goes Headline, and that's over for a called strike 2. So he gets ahead now of Dylan Byler. 0-2. Byler 0 for 2 on the night. And the runner just took off to second base. They didn't even bother to look at him. Here's a tapper towards third. Mason Walker up with it in time to first base to retire the Pioneers, but not before they put 2 runs across. They do it on 2 hits and a couple of walks. They lead 2. Lampeter Strasburg has the lead for the first time in the 5A state championship game. As we head to the bottom of the 5th, it's 3-1, Pioneers on top.